This is Changeling, a 2D roguelike built in Unity with C#. And Gabe, will
Okay.
you?
So as we see here, we have our main menu. We have our background looking a little eerie for a dungeon theme as we got going on. As we could see, well, go back to that one, please. As we have our options menu where you can control sound effects, music. We have a master one, and also a resolution. Um, Seeing as we did not put any sounds in, they are not functioning at the moment, but they are there to be um, functioning at a later time. Our credits menu, all of the people involved, and we have back buttons that'll take you right back to the main menu. Quit and start. You have a pause menu as well, taking you to the options menu as we saw before, returning back to main or resuming the game. Uh, we have a couple of characters as well, main player being the Changeling, as the title shows. Um, Also have a Drow, a Troll, and an Ankle Biter. Um, all containing their own animations, which at the moment are not fully functioning, but as we can see, they do move towards or keep a distance from the player as intended. As we can see from our blend tree, for each character, they have movement tied to their blend tree: walk forward, backwards, left, right, and idle. All tied to their controller. Um,
All right, and that's about it for
and yeah.
Also featured in our game is a little bit of procedural generation. If we go back over here, actually, we'll just start from the intro scene. No, please don't do this right now. We can see when we start the game and we play through, our level spawns each time. And to kind of get an overview on that, I'll go into the scene, play it a few times really quick, just to show that it works in-game and outside of the game. So when we go to the level scene, I actually have a tool that'll let us just randomize the dungeon, even in the editor mode. Now, in the editor mode, it'll keep spawning things, but we do have a procedurally generated dungeon, and it goes off and makes random spots. Now, there is holes in there. I have to go in and add a couple more binary numbers to cover these up with walls, but you can walk through the dungeon. You can't walk outside of the walls, and enemies also spawn in it as well as the player. And as for that, this is as far as our whole game goes. We have a game loop going, as seen in the build, a main menu, an intro screen. So we got pretty much there. We just need some touch-ups on the procedural generation a little bit and on the enemy AI, as well as getting the animations to update correctly. But this is the final state of our game. After 5 weeks of Scrum methodology, every week we would meet up on our work days, say what problems we had encountered, what we got accomplished, what's standing in our way, and what we were going to do next. And every week we'd have multiple updates with each other. We had constant contact through a Discord channels that we were also using and we made for this project. So we were constantly updating each other, constantly making new decisions. We only pivoted twice, honestly. But other than that, we held pretty closely to Scrum methodologies.
The key to
You go.
was each of us engaging in our own areas of expertise in order to improve our efficiency. I personally handled scripting combat and aided with the movement AI, which, if we could take a look at it now.
Do you want to see the code
Uh,
or the AI?
so
The scene?
let's see it in action. So what we have here is a bit rudimentary, but you can see the ankle biter and the troll attempt to close the distance in order to strike at the changeling, while the ranger will strafe and try to line up a shot horizontally or vertically to make a bow attack against the changeling. And, as you can see there, they're all following their different movement patterns. Currently, the attack functionality is not fully implemented, but we expect that to be complete soon. We coded around the idea of components having their own associated code, which works well in Unity with the ability to attach scripts to game objects. Each enemy and player inherit from the combatant script, which has a list of attacks that it can make use of. And we also have items which can be picked up by the player and which add new attacks to the list of attacks the player can make use of. And each of these is self-contained, but can call public functions on the other classes that derive from combatant in order to interact with them properly. And that's our combat system. And yeah. Any closing thoughts, James?
I guess
Gabe?
I should delve in a little bit more to how the procedural generation works. I have an abstract dungeon generator where everything inherits from. And then I have another layer right here of called procedural generation that pretty much just contains a bunch of good, neat little tools for generating stuff procedurally and binary space partitioning. And then finally, and these are just the methods we used in the game. There are some that do not go through it. Finally, I have a couple. Well, I have one more generation script that's for generating the rooms first, and making them random shapes. Then I have another script I made to help paint all the tiles, one to help place the walls, and then this one contains all the binary files that help us place the correct kind of wall, which is what I still need to expand upon. But as you can see, it's kind of arduous work. And other than that, that is how the procedural works. It generates rooms randomly at first, and it makes the little containers to generate the rooms in by binary space partitioning. That's all my thing on the functionality of that.
Okay. Changeling.
Changeling. That is our project and what we ended up with. Look for it soon on itch.io when it is in its full shining glory. Cool.